next winter.
Acapulco itself is underwater, with residential streets turning into torrents of water. Many residents have had to abandon their cars. In some cases, the force of Pauline's winds have piled cars on top of each other. In the foothills around Acapulco, people have been desperately trying to get the water out of their homes. Elsewhere along the Mexican coast, the storm has brought El Nino waves 30 feet tall crashing into the shoreline. So far, there have been 18 inches of rain, and the winds have caused terrible damage. Again, the death toll, 118. Pauline is now moving northwest, but over water. And according to AccuWeather, the worst may be over. Action News reporter Denise James is live in Bluebell tonight, where some folks who hail from Acapulco have been frantically trying to call home. Denise, have they had any success tonight?
Not so far. While the hurricane has been pounding parts of Mexico, it has tapped into the fears of people thousands of miles away. And tonight we talked with some people here in Bluebell who have connections to Acapulco. While musicians entertained customers at El Mariachi restaurant in Bluebell, some who work here making Mexican cuisine worry about loved ones in Acapulco. Jesus del Valle's parents, siblings, aunts, and uncles live there, as do Jose Luis Viviano's mother and father. Acapulco is home to them both, but neither has been able to get through to relatives.
I don't know anything. The only that I know is all the videos here in the news. I don't know anything.
Are you worried?
Yeah, I was so worried for my family, my parents. And we got my sisters, brothers, my father, uncles, everybody.
Durante esta tormenta que ha pasado por allá.
The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
Time to take a look at the tropics, and really probably the only game in town, in the Pacific or in the Atlantic at this point, is Tropical Storm Pauline. Now, it was a hurricane. At one point, briefly, it was a Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale, then went down to a Category 3, then made landfall here just on the western side of the Gulf of Tehuantepec, and then took a course that was pretty devastating here along the southwest coast of Mexico. It pretty much paralleled the coast. Now, the center was just inland, and normally we would say, well, when a hurricane or tropical storm gets its center of circulation, or the eye, inland, it generally weakens rather quickly. In this case, a lot of the circulation, because it kind of paralleled the coast, stayed out over the open water, and so this hurricane did not weaken quickly. It weakened very, very gradually, and the flow around it was still strong enough to pull tremendous amounts of moisture into southwest areas of Mexico. We have had reports of around or over 100 people having lost their lives. That's an unofficial total right now, but again, it's up around 100. That death toll will probably go higher as more people, missing people, may be found. Some people may never be found that got washed away. Wave heights 20 to 25, maybe close to 30 feet, lashed the shore. At the highest part of the storm is when it came in here on the western side of the Gulf of Tehuantepec. We had amounts of rain of probably well over 20 to 25 inches. Officially around Acapulco at the airport there, about 18 inches of rain. Tremendous flooding, tremendous mudslides. It is a grave situation, and I'm not overemphasizing here, all along the southwest coast of Mexico, particularly around Acapulco and down toward the western end of the Gulf of Tehuantepec. Bad, bad situation. 18.7 north, 103.1 west, that's where the center of Tropical Storm Pauline is at the present time, or about 100 miles east-southeast of Manzanillo, moving west-northwest at 13. Winds have decreased. That is good news, but this system is not out of our hair quite yet. Again, that center is over land, which is good. That would mean that we'd still get a decrease in strength. But it is possible on this track that it could re-emerge back out over the Pacific Ocean and maybe up into the Gulf of California. And there could be, if the center holds together, some regeneration if that does indeed happen. We're getting some big thunderstorms flaring up here up toward Puerto Vallarta and also offshore. That could still be causing some heavy rain in some spots. Hopefully this thing will continue to die down, but we're going to have to watch it closely. Puerto Vallarta down to Zihuatanejo, there are still tropical storm warnings in effect at this point. So just to recap, we now have a tropical storm, Pauline, not a hurricane anymore. Still could be some locally heavy rains. The winds, maximum sustained, are down to around 50 miles an hour, so it is diminishing in intensity. So folks up here at Manzanillo or Puerto Vallarta, you're not going to get the hurricane or the weather that they had farther down the coast. But from Acapulco down the coast, down toward the Gulf of Tehuantepec, it has been devastating, absolutely devastating. Our hearts really go out to the people there. Big dome of high pressure over the western Gulf of Mexico, conducive for possible development. That's about the only area in the Atlantic that we would look for any development. Big trough in the middle of the Atlantic, screaming westerly winds across the Caribbean and the Atlantic, pretty much precluding any development there. This is the area we have to keep a watch on. We're not getting any organized convection or thunderstorm action, but the winds aloft are in a high pressure configuration, and that would be conducive for development if we get a low level circulation. On the radar, nothing like that is really evident. There might be a broad area, mid-level circulation here, but nothing at the very lowest levels that is ascertainable on the radar anyway. Still, this kind of a flow is bringing just copious amounts of water